Hello and welcome to E&I UK and Europe edition. I'm Giancarlo Matera, reporting from London, England. We will be bringing you news stories and reports from the United Kingdom and Europe, and we have live reporters on standby, ready to give their reports. In today's lineup, we have with us Love and Season reporting live on a book about Harry and Meghan called Finding Freedom. Then we go to Ashley Espiritu, who will be reporting on Gandhi's iconic glasses going up for auction here in the United Kingdom. Then we have a live report from John Kevin Glauser on Geneva, Switzerland launching a new self-service bicycle network. We have a report by Irene Juliette Arzadon from Dortmund, Germany on how to make your very own DIY donut wall. Before we round up the news today with the sports updates, and we will end our show as always with our view from a window, which gives us a scenic view of one of our beautiful European cities. But first, the headlines from around the United Kingdom and Europe. A new institute has been set up to fight pandemics in the United Kingdom. The British government last Tuesday announced the shake-up of public health policy with a new institute to focus on infectious diseases in the wake of the devastating coronavirus outbreak. More than 41,000 people confirmed with COVID-19 have died in Britain, the worst toll in Europe, and the country is still struggling to implement an effective test and tracing system. The government is scrapping Public Health England, the government agency responsible for health emergencies in England, as well as issues such as smoking and obesity. In its place, a new National Institute for Health Protection will focus on infectious diseases and external threats, including from biological weapons. It will deal with emergencies, local outbreaks, testing and contract tracing, as well as coordinating analysis, surveillance and research. Health Secretary Matt Hancock said the Institute will start work immediately, as the changes could not wait. He said the system would learn from South Korea and Germany, where the Health Protection Agency had a huge primary focus on pandemic response. Just as Britain worked to prepare for infrequent yet devastating risks such as terrorism and financial shocks, he said it must be ready and alert to the challenges such as pandemics. Critics have accused the government of making Public Health England the scapegoat for its handling of the pandemic, which notably saw a lack of testing and protective equipment in the early weeks.
Microphone and just take your brilliantly, and they have written the most incredible amount of high-quality public health advice.
For that. Setting up a new agency
To give ourselves the best chance of beating this virus and of spotting and tackling other external health threats now and in the future, we need to bring together the science and the scale into one coherent whole. So today I'm announcing that we're forming a new organization, the National Institute for Health. The National Institute for Health Protection will have a single and relentless mission: protecting people from external threats to this country's health. External threats like biological weapons, pandemics, and of course, infectious diseases of all kinds. My single biggest fear is a novel flu or another major health alert hitting us right now in the middle of this battle against coronavirus. Even once this crisis has passed, and it will pass, we need a disease control infrastructure that gives us the permanent standing capacity to respond as a nation and the ability to scale up at pace.
Gentleman there, if you can go to the microphone and just take your
brilliantly.
Angry students have forced the UK government on a U-turn over the virus-hit exams. The British government was forced last Monday to abandon its policy for grading exams that were cancelled because of the coronavirus pandemic, after protests by students and warnings that it threatened the career prospects of the most disadvantaged pupils. England's exam regulator said it would accept at face value assessments made by the teachers of high school exams, abandoning a moderation process intended to avoid widespread grade inflation. The publication of A-level results last week sparked outrage when it emerged that 39% of teachers' assessments had been downgraded under an algorithm based on a school's past performances. A-levels are key school leavers exams for 18-year-olds. Pupils took to the streets and threatened legal action, complaining the system made it harder for bright children in disadvantaged areas to do well, while rewarding mediocre students in private schools. To a lot of the young people, this really does feel like the government is saying, "We don't care about you," an 18-year-old Curtis said, who launched a petition and a legal challenge against the policy. As angry parents lobbied their MPs, opposition parties scented an opportunity. An increasing number of Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Conservative Party called for a rethink. The devolved governments in Scotland and Wales had already reverted to teachers' assessments, putting pressure on England to follow suit, particularly with another key set of results, the GCSEs taken by 16-year-olds, due out on Thursday. Teachers had also raised concerns that schools would be tied up lodging appeals against results when they were trying to prepare to reopen fully in early September for the first time since the March lockdown. UK's Education Secretary Gavin Williamson apologised for the handling of the process, saying he had decided to act after unfairness became clear. The devolved government in Northern Ireland later announced it would also change its policy.
Of course, incredibly sorry for all those students who have been through this. When we came up with the system, which was broadly supported across the spectrum of calculated grades, what we were doing is to ensure that we have the fairest possible system, making sure that we look after the interests of all students. But when it became apparent that there were unfairnesses within the system, it's the right thing to act. So over the weekend, it became clearer to me that there were a level of the number of students who were getting grades that, frankly, they shouldn't have been getting and should have been doing a lot better. And the evidence, both from Ofqual and other external bodies, was apparent that action needed to be taken. But first, more evidence came in. It was clear that we needed to act. That's what we have done, and that's why we're going to be moving to the process of centre-assessed grades, making sure equally that those children who got a higher grade, of which there are a considerable number of children who got a higher grade than the centre-assessed grade, that actually there's a situation where none of them will have that grade marked down, but to the centre-assessed grade.
So you're saying Ofqual?
The World Health Organization updates that Europe can fight the virus without the full lockdown. Europe can combat the new coronavirus without full lockdowns now that authorities are better prepared and have gained knowledge about how to fight it in recent months, the World Health Organization said last Thursday. With the basic nationwide and additional targeted measures, we are in a much better position to stamp out these localized virus flare-ups. The head the World Health Organization's European branch, Dr. Hans Kluge, told reporters. In the first week of August, 40,000 more cases were reported than in the first week of June, when the cases were at their lowest. But, he said, we are not in February, and we can manage the virus differently now than we did when COVID-19 first emerged. In addition to calling for good hand hygiene, social distancing measures, and national testing and tracing programs, the World Health Organization recommended that additional measures be adopted locally when clusters arise. On average, 26,000 new cases are being reported every day in Europe. According to the World Health Organization, young people who tend to experience milder symptoms and lower mortality rates account for most of the growing share of cases. However, he stressed the importance of reopening schools as countries gradually return to normal, noting the negative consequences that school closures have had on the children. The WHO's European region, which covers 55 countries, has registered almost 4 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 215,000 deaths linked to the virus, according to the organization.
Here in Copenhagen, that covers the 53 member states of Europe, were informed through our regional office in the Western Pacific of this
environment. But we are not in February. We can manage the virus differently now than we did when COVID-19 first emerged. With the basic nationwide and additional targeted measures, we are in a much better position to stamp out these localized virus flare-ups. We can manage the virus and keep the economy running and an education system in operation.
It's time for a break now, but please come back for more ENI UK and Europe edition.
Ein sonniger Tag heute hier in Berlin vor dem Bundestag. Ich bin Irene Juliet Arzadon und möchte diese Gelegenheit nutzen, um ein paar Worte mit euch zu teilen. An alle Menschen da draußen. In dieser Zeit lasst uns nicht vergessen, den Menschen zu danken, die ihr Leben für uns opfern. Sei es die Menschen, die im Krankenhaus arbeiten, in den Altenheimen sowie in den Arztpraxen, aber auch an die Menschen, die im Lebensmittelhandel sich befinden. Die Kassierer. Manchmal reicht es aus, um ihnen ein freundliches Lächeln zu geben. Denn die Menschen, die heute am Arbeiten sind, weil sie nicht so wie einige von uns zu Hause bleiben können, die sollten wir wertschätzen. Ihnen sollten wir unseren Dank ausrichten. Darum lasst uns noch mehr zusammenhalten. Sie wertschätzen.
Welcome back to ENI UK and Europe edition. I'm Jakarta Matera with now more interesting stories from around the United Kingdom. First up, we have live with us reporting Love Ann Season on a book about Harry and Meghan called Finding Freedom. Tell us more about this book, Love Ann.
Thank you, Giancarlo. So yes, Finding Freedom, Harry and Meghan and the Making of a Modern Royal Family is a biography of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which was written by veteran royal reporters Omid Scobie and Caroline Durand. It was released on August 11 in the UK bookshops, shedding light on the couple's acrimonious split with the royal family. The book was written with an aim of rehumanizing two people who some think have been misrepresented. After 31,000 copies were sold in the first 5 days of its release, Finding Freedom has become the best-selling book in the UK, according to data provider Nielsen Book. It will feature at #1 in the hardback non-fiction chart in the Sunday Times bestsellers list this weekend. Its creators, Omid Scobie and Caroline Durand, are members of the select group of reporters that cover the British royal family and their engagements. The book suggested that Harry, who is 35 years old, was the driving force behind the couple's move away from the family, with Meghan telling her husband that she gave up her entire life for this family. Readers will also get a fully chronicled account of the couple's relationship from the beginning. Now, the authors are sympathetic to the couple and say the book will correct the record on the acrimonious split from the royal family. Before it was released, there were already many speculations swirling as to what would be disclosed. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams has shared his thoughts on this biography. Let's listen in.
Harry and Meghan have made it absolutely clear that they weren't interviewed for this book and they didn't authorize it. But reading it, it's absolutely impossible to believe that it could have been published without their tacit consent. I think the book was motivated partly by their need to put their side of things as they see it, albeit unofficially, but also by the reluctance to burn bridges, for example, the absence of criticism of the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, and Prince Charles. Hence the fact that the arrangement with the royal family will be reviewed by the end of March next year.
So Mr. Scobie and along with Caroline Durand publishing Finding Freedom to set the record straight about Meghan and Harry stepping back as senior royals, which plunged the monarchy into a period of crisis earlier this year. Meghan and Harry are now living in the US with their one-year-old son Archie after quitting royal duties. However, it does acknowledge that Harry and Meghan's decision to keep the family in the dark about their plans created a lot of ill will. The book authors have been interviewed regularly on the couple's future since this was published. Over to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you, Lavan. Is this book then officially authorized by Harry and Meghan themselves?
Well, according to its creators or authors, the book was said to have been written with a unique access and written with the participation of those closest to the couple. At the end of the biography, the author stated in their acknowledgement that they have spoken with close friends of Harry and Meghan, royal aides, past and present palace staff, the charities and organizations that they have built long-lasting relationship with, and when appropriate, the couple themselves. Now, according to Express News, the former Sussex royals have distanced themselves from the tell-all. And in the statement, their representatives have said that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were not interviewed and did not contribute to finding freedom. This book is based on the author's own experiences as members of the Royal Press Corps and their own independent reporting. So back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you so much, Lavan, for that interesting report.
Thank you, Giancarlo, for having me. So reporting from London, United Kingdom, I'm Lavan Villanosa-Sisson, and we live in interesting times.
Now we go live to Ashley Espiritu, who will be reporting on Gandhi's iconic glasses going up for auction here in the United Kingdom. Hello, Ashley.
Thank you, Giancarlo. Yes, a rare and important pair of iconic glasses worn by Indian independence hero Mahatma Gandhi look set to sell for tens of thousands of pounds after a British auction house put them up for sale on Monday. Let's listen in.
We came in one Monday morning to find an envelope rather haphazardly sticking out of our letterbox. A colleague of mine grabbed the envelope, we opened it up, and inside was a pair of spectacles along with a note which said, "These once belonged to Gandhi, give me a call." We kind of went, okay then. And a few hours later, after lunch, I gave the phone number a call, and we came across this incredible story of these spectacles belonging to Gandhi, given to the vendor's uncle back in around about 1920 or so. Proving these to be genuine are actually rather tricky. The two people we need in the story, Gandhi and the vendor's uncle, are of course no longer with us. So what we did first of all is we turned to the story that the vendor's uncle was given these back in the 20s by Gandhi in South Africa during a visit to BP. And everybody in that story was in the right place at the right time. So the broad strokes of them, the broad strokes of the story matched up. That these really were the real deal. And plus they've been in the same family now for over 100 years. It's very, very, very unlikely that any people in that story would have made that up at that time. Our initial estimate on these was actually £10,000 to £15,000 based on some previous auction results for similar items. But very quickly, bids rapidly exceeded £50,000, and as you know, as we stand a few days before the sale, it's all still to play for. These are going to sell for a lot of money.
The gold-plated spectacles were stuffed through the letterbox of East Bristol Auctions in southwest England last Friday, with a letter attached saying, "These glasses belong to Gandhi, give me a call," auctioneer Andrew Stowe told Sky News. The spectacles formed an important and somewhat iconic part of Gandhi's overall appearance, a rare and important pair of spectacles, the auction house's website said of the lot. It can be presumed that these were gifted by way of thanks from Gandhi for some good deed, it added. Gandhi was known for giving out old or unwanted pairs to those in need or those who had helped him. The talismanic non-violent protester gave the glasses to the vendor's uncle while he was working for British Petroleum in South Africa during the 1920s or 30s, said the auction house. An auctioneer found them last Monday when he reopened for business after the weekend. A few hours later, we were digging around and doing some research, and we discovered that they are a very important historical find, Stowe told Sky News. The I phoned the gentleman back. His exact words were, "If they're no good, just throw them away," he added. I told him I thought they were £15,000, equivalent to $19,500 or 17,000 euros, and I think he nearly fell off his chair. The item is due to go under the hammer on August 21, but has smashed expectations with online bidding already up to £50,000. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for that very interesting report. Are these really Mahatma Gandhi's iconic glasses?
Well, Giancarlo, unfortunately, the auction house did not find the original person that sent them the glasses. As it was said in the video by Stowe, these glasses have been in the family for hundreds of years. As I mentioned, it was said that Gandhi was known for giving out similar pairs to those who were in need or to those that helped Gandhi. Therefore, there could be many, if not hundreds, of similar pairs anywhere that look just like Gandhi's iconic glasses. There's no further information on any type of investigation to completely know if it belonged to Gandhi. But as of now, buyers are convinced and are eager to get their hands on an important item that belonged to one of history's independence heroes, Mahatma Gandhi. Giancarlo?
Thank you so much, Ashley, for your report today.
Thank you, Giancarlo. I'm Ashley Spiritu, correspondent from London, United Kingdom, and we live in interesting times.
It's time for a break now, but please come back for more ENI UK and Europe edition. Welcome back to ENI UK and Europe edition. Now for more interesting stories from around Europe this week. We have live reporting with us now John Kevin Glauser from EBC Switzerland on how Geneva has launched a new self-service bicycle network. Hello, John.
Hello, Giancarlo. Well,
how are you?
Yes, thank you. So here, well, we can say that climate change is getting more and more attention every day around the world, and people strive to come up with new and more environment-friendly ways to do our everyday tasks. One of the main domains where improvement can be done is transportation, and that's where the canton of Geneva, Switzerland, acted by launching a new self-service bicycle network. This network, named Vélo Partage, has been inaugurated on Tuesday, August 18, not only in the city of Geneva, but also in 20 other towns around, which were interested by this new transportation service. Donkey Republic was chosen to operate the network in Geneva. It is a Danish firm specialized in self-service bicycle networks and was already operating in other cities in Switzerland before being chosen to take care of the network in the canton of Geneva. For this network, Donkey Republic has a partnership with Genève Roule, a non-profit local association active now for almost 20 years in promoting clean mobility and providing bikes to be rented in the city of Geneva. With this new service, people can easily rent a bike at any of the stations through the smartphone application Donkey Republic, and will be charged depending on the amount of time they'll use the bike, or they can also pay a subscription which is valid in all networks of Donkey Republic around the world. Once done, they can return the bike at any other station on the network. And as a starting offer until September 30, renting one of their bike up to 1 hour will be free. For now, 200 bikes are available in the whole network, among which are 60 electric bikes. They are spread among more than 100 stations, which can be found on the website of Donkey Republic, with 47 of them in the city itself. The number and location of the stations might change in the next months, depending on the real use of customers, with the goal to develop the network throughout the years and reach an offer of at least 650 bikes by the year 2023. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you, John. That's a very interesting news story. But may we ask, how is this project being welcomed by the residents of Geneva and the tourists?
Well, this is all very new here, but what we can say is that there has been a trend in the past few years with more and more bike users, and especially electric bikes. And also the government has been making some changes on the roads so that it would be more suitable to bike users. So this new project is definitely going in the same direction as this trend. And also we can add that this is a nice alternative to public transportation, especially now with the COVID-19 pandemic going on. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you so much for your interesting report, and thank you for joining us live today.
Thank you. I'm John Kevin Gloser, reporting from Geneva, Switzerland, and we live in interesting times.
Now for our EBC Sports Update, where former champion Chris Froome will not take place in the annual Tour de France. The four-time Tour de France champion Chris Froome will not get the chance to end his spell with his team Ineos with a tilt at fifth crown after being omitted from the team for this year's race. The 35-year-old Kenyan-born British rider needs more time, according to team principal Dave Brailsford, and will instead aim for the Vuelta de España. Froome has been trying to get back to his peak condition after he was involved in a high-speed crash in last year's race, which came close to ending his career. Chris Froome is to leave the team at the end of the season to join the new Israeli team Nation, ending a decade-long partnership that produced 4 Tour de France championships. Froome is Britain's most successful bike rider, and he won the Tour de France 4 times in 5 years, starting in 2013, in the colors of Team Sky, which last year became Team Ineos. The team boss, Dave Brailsford, hailed the 7-time Grand Tour winner Froome as a great champion, but said it was the right time to part ways. He said Froome, who's 35, was keen to have sole team leadership, but the team, with the fellow Tour de France winners Geraint Thomas and Egan Bernal in their ranks, were unable to give him that guarantee. So Chris's current contract comes to an end in December, and they have taken the decision now not to renew it. This year's Tour de France, which was postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic, is set to be raced from August 29 to September 20 this year. Now, to end our show this day, we go to our view from a window, which is courtesy of our EBC correspondent, Lynette Catalan from Germany, who visited Wrocław, a market square in Rybnik in Poland. It is the 4th largest city in Poland, which is located in the western part of the country. It is known for its picturesque old town, painted with bright colors that reflect the city's youthful and creative vibe. Located in the heart of Poland, it is a medieval market square, and it is one of the largest in Poland and arguably one of the most picturesque in all of Europe. Thank you so much, Lynette, for that wonderful view. We hope you will stay safe and keep positive. So that's our show this week. We will be back next week again for more news stories from around the United Kingdom and Europe. I'm Jakar Matera, and we live in interesting times.